Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. Today we're going to talk about teaching your child faithfulness. You ever have a friend stab you in the back? Do you ever have someone that was really important to you completely betray you? Have you ever been married or in a really incredibly serious relationship and the person that you really loved and honestly cared about, especially when you're married, believed you were going to be with the rest of your life, ran around on you with another person? They were unfaithful. Then you understand the importance of what we're going to talk about today. Because about tears your heart out and tears your life apart. And hence, I know and I earnestly believe that you want your child to be faithful. There's a very interesting passage in the Bible in 1 Corinthians 4:2, and it said that it is required of a steward that he be found faithful. When I was in Africa, I had a couple of really bad things happen to me. I got really discouraged, and I was staying at this particular apartment, and a woman who had been there for years and years sat down and talked to me. Her name was Madame Kennedy. And she said, Violet, why is this all bothering you so much? I said, I don't know. I just feel like a complete failure. Things didn't go the way I thought. This person really betrayed me. It was terrible. I was really having a hard time. She said, were you faithful to the thing that you were called to do? Did you keep doing it? Were you consistent? Was your attitude right? I said, yes, ma'am, it was. She said, you aren't responsible for the results. You are only responsible for remaining faithful. I cannot tell you how much that helped me at that time with all that had happened. And so you need to know you are not responsible for the other person's behavior. Now, I want you to know as a parent, you're responsible for your kid's behavior, especially till he's 5, 6, 7 years old. You're fully responsible. But once they're on their own, running with gas, in many ways, you aren't anymore. And especially when you're in a relationship with an adult, whether it's your mom or your dad, your sibling, your lover, your spouse, your friend, you aren't responsible for them, nor can you be. You can only be responsible for yourself. But the best thing you can hope for is that they will be faithful, loyal, trustworthy to you as you are to them. Then you have the basis, the foundation of a stable, secure, healthy relationship. That's what we're all looking for. So, how in the world are you going to teach your child to be faithful? Great question. Really good question. I'm going to ask you another question right back to back with this, the challenge question of the day. Am I a faithful person? Because, as you and I both know, if you're not, there's very little likelihood that you're going to teach your child by example to be. In other words, if you're always backstabbing your friends and you have a brand new best friend every 3 months because you ditched the other one and you acted like a jerk to them, you're probably not going to be a great candidate for teaching faithfulness to your child until you change some of your own attitudes and behaviors. And if you've been married 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 times, or you've had 8 or 9 or 10 significant boyfriends or girlfriends in the last 3 years because you saw the next best thing and ran off for it, you're probably not going to be a great candidate for teaching faithfulness to your child yet either. Just being truthful with you. So, are you a faithful person? But this is how you teach faithfulness to your child. Your child has a friend. Then they meet somebody else, somebody cuter, somebody with a nicer house, somebody with a horse, somebody with whatever. They decide they're going to ditch their other old best friend because this person's so much cooler. Is at that exact moment you say to your child, so whatever happened to Allison? You don't like her anymore? No, 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 no. I think Candace is much better. Why is that? Sometimes you really have to be courageous to be a good parent. You need to say, is that because Candace's house is so much better? Because she wears nicer clothes? Because she gets you better presents on your birthday? Because you know what? You don't just ditch Allison because Candace looks like a better option. You've been friends with Allison 4 or 5 years. And you need to continue to be a loyal, trustworthy friend to her. Sometimes, and I've seen it in 10, 11 or 12-year-old girls especially, They get a little catty and a little mean. And then suddenly a girl will turn her back on her good friend because she started hanging out with a new bunch of girls. And they're always backstabbing this girl and playing horrible, mean practical jokes and acting terrible. Right there is when you say to your child, do you know what? You're not going to do this. You are not hanging out with this new group. I've literally seen a mom who was really, really gutsy tell her daughter, you're not going to be on the junior cheerleading squad because they're a bunch of brats. They're acting horribly. And they're treating your friend, I won't say her name, we'll use the letter M. They're treating your friend M like dirt. And you're going along with this. And you guys have been friends since kindergarten. You're not going to do this. You're not. Yay, Mom. Good for you. Because she was really teaching faithfulness, loyalty, trustworthiness to her daughter and how important it was. And I agree with her 100%. All right, so you have a kid, a boy or a girl, and they're playing soccer. And they're on a team, and their team isn't the greatest, but, it's a good group of kids, and they get along well, and their coach is a good guy. And then all of a sudden, they hear about this other soccer team across town that usually always wins, and they're like, I want to go over there. You've been playing with these guys for a couple of years, and you've always had a great time, and your coach is really amazing. No, you're not going to do it. You need to be loyal to your team. You need to have this level of commitment and faithfulness. It's not like you're going to grow up and play professional soccer. You're not that good, okay? This is about having a great time together, and you're not going to bail because these people over here keep winning championships. Not happening, okay? And oh, wow, Mom and Dad, you're the person with the keys. Like I told you before, you really actually are in control of this stuff. So have some guts, be a parent, say, oh no, you need to be loyal to your team. Okay? This is really about teaching them to be faithful. And then this one I believe in with all my heart. So write it down if you need to, because this one, underline it 3 times. It is important. These people who let their kids start going steady or going out or hanging or having a boyfriend or a girlfriend when they're 12 or 13 years old, and between then and the time they graduate from high school, they've been through 7 or 8 or 10 different people. You are setting that kid up for a life of unfaithfulness. I'm dead serious with you now, okay? I have sons. They weren't allowed to go steady, and they weren't allowed to date till they were 17 years old. True fact. Because they weren't going to play this revolving door syndrome, the next cutest chickie game. They weren't. And they didn't. You want them to be faithful? You need to tell them. You can be great friends in a whole group of people, but you're not going to go out with this one this week and this one next week and another guy in 4 weeks from now. No, you're not, because you are setting them up for a life of being unfaithful. When I get sick of this one and they tick me off, I just move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. Oh no, you're not. And this is something I told my sons and something I would invite you to tell your children. This is very true for guys. I don't know what there is about guys in this whole window shopping, oh, I'm only looking thing. Well, I'm sorry. Looking is where you start, and pretty soon you're in really big trouble. When you get married and you have a wife, that's the only person on the face of the earth for you, and it's going to be the only person on the face of the earth for you, so you need to quit looking. You just bought a brand new Porsche, but you're going to go out and still test drive a brand new car every weekend? No, man. You're loving your Porsche. Okay, you got married. You have a beautiful young wife. You have a really amazing young husband. Quit shopping. Quit looking, because there ain't nothing for you to see except temptation. You have the one you chose, and you stay with the one you chose, and you put all your energy and time invested into that relationship. And oh my goodness, what do you know? That fosters faithfulness. But there really is this underlying attitude that has to happen. And I want you to address this one too. And that is, it's never enough. That person's never good enough, so I'm always looking for the next best thing or the next best person. That does not foster faithfulness or loyalty. Okay? And so you say, I know any person I'm in a relationship with, any friend I have, any person I choose to marry, they are going to have faults and problems. That's a fact. And I'm going to love them and stick with them in spite of their faults and in spite of their problems. When you already have it in your mind and you already have the intention in your heart, it makes it a lot easier to carry it out. If you don't have it in your mind and you go, well, this right here, this is going to be the end of this because I'm never going to put up with this. Again, I'm going to say this to you. I'm not talking about physical abuse or violence. That is a deal breaker for real. And frankly, so is adultery. You're married to some gorgeous little thing, and she's in the street all the time with another guy and another guy and another guy. Oh, yes, you can leave that person. You don't have to stay signed up for a lifetime of heartache. But, she leaves the dishes in the sink or he leaves his socks on the floor. Yeah, honey, that's nothing you're going to leave somebody over. And so you have to understand there are a few things that may truly break the bonds of a relationship. As I shared with you a little while ago about my friend who tore into me after a really difficult, challenging emotional time in my life. We're not great friends anymore, not close friends. You do have to make decisions about when certain things are big enough to disrupt the relationship. But in general, you have to know that in spite of challenges, frustrations, difficulties, irritations, problems, that you are going to stay and you are going to be faithful. And a child learns that by being faithful to their friends, faithful to their family, faithful to their school, faithful to their team. And again, if they have a spiritual relationship, faithful to their God. You need to teach your child faithfulness. Again, one of the ways to help your child understand faithfulness most profoundly is to say to them, how would you feel if Charlie, that's his best friend, right, suddenly decided he's not going to be your friend anymore and he's going to start hanging out with Travis every day? He never comes around. He doesn't talk to you. You guys never play video games. You don't go get ice cream together anymore. How would you feel about that? Oh, he would never do that, Mom. I understand. But if he did, how would you feel about that? Oh, I'd hate it. I'd be so mad. I'd be so upset. Yes, and that is faithfulness. And just like you want him to be loyal and faithful to you, you need to be loyal and faithful to him. You need to give scenarios to your children to really help them understand the concept, as well as maximizing really specific events in their life. I want to tell you one other thing that really helped my children grasp faithfulness. As you know, my family is a challenging family. I have a few siblings that are extraordinarily challenging. And one time we were at one of my siblings' house, and this sibling, man, verbally tore me apart, which that's what my family does, cuss you and just wow. Anyway, we went home, and my son was about 16. He said, Mom, why do you let this person act like that to you? Like, you should just totally give up on that relationship. It's pointless. And I said, my son, let me tell you something. You know that as a follower of Jesus Christ, it is my responsibility to love, to forgive, to show grace, to be kind, in spite of the manner in which I am treated. He's like, yeah, but this person doesn't even respect you. I said, frankly, I know. I agree with you. But how many other people with any longevity of relationship are involved in this person's life that are going to have the opportunity to show them what love and kindness really looks like? My son looked at me like this. He crossed his arms and he went, Mom, sometimes you just amaze me. I'd like to tell you that comment was worth about $1 million to me. And it helped my son really cement in his thinking what loyalty and faithfulness to somebody was. Being faithful to someone sometimes really bears a cost. And I'll admit to you, it can really hurt. and yet it is one of the most important character traits or aspects in life that lays stability and security into our inner world and brings it out into our external world. And so I invite you today, diligently teach faithfulness to your child. Thank you so much for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.